Welcome to the Stack Supplement Podcast, the premier source for supplement news and reviews.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, where we run down all the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our website from the past 7 days. I have to admit, if you'd visited the site last week, and it's going to be the case this week, we've been pretty much flat stick working non-stop, getting as much news and updates and developments out as we can. It doesn't seem to be slowing down. I know that the industry is having a little bit of difficulty right now with shortages and importing and exporting and everything like that. But for some reason, people are not short on excitement, whether they're exaggerating with new flavors, maybe they're just pumping out new releases just to keep the fun going. And it's been incredibly difficult to keep up with, I will admit. It's never too much to handle, but we do our best. And I think last week we were sharing on average 12 stories a day. Some were missed out, and this week is going to be no different. So make sure you stay tuned to the website as always for the latest updates, and we'll make sure that we keep them pumping out. But as always, this is our sort of our roundup podcast episode where we basically just shoot over everything that was big last week. And of course, with the mountain of news stories that we had, there was some big ones, and hopefully you didn't miss them. But again, if you did, we got them here, and we'll talk about them a bit more. The first one we have is actually the details of the new flavor of the Bang energy drink that was teased. I think we mentioned it on the last episode, and I think I even talked about a potential flavor. If not, the flavor is now here. You can pick it up from the Vitamin Shop. It's exclusive to the Vitamin Shop. And the flavor is none other than Nectarine Blueberry. And again, it's only available at the Vitamin Shop. There's been no mention of it being available at any other point. At any other place at any point. But the retailer hasn't just launched it, Nectarine Blueberry, for the Bang energy drink. You can purchase this new flavor for both the drink and the Bang energy shot, which, for those who didn't know, is also carbonated and has a lot of the same main ingredients as the Bang energy drink, including that 300 milligrams of caffeine. Again, the flavor is pretty self-explanatory. This isn't a radical skedaddle or rainbow unicorn. They're kind of giving you the names of the flavors right in that title, Nectarine Blueberry, combining, of course, nectarine and blueberry, which definitely sounds like a pretty refreshing and enjoyable taste. For the next story we have is actually from quite a few stories from the team out in Lohilo, Swedish company. And if you ever have the chance to try any of the frozen snacks from Lohilo, you will not be disappointed. In fact, some would say it's even worth going all the way up to Sweden to try. We've had them in a couple countries, I believe. I'm trying to remember. But basically, Lohilo is a functional brand, one of the most creative ones out of Sweden. Seems to be where all the great functional companies stem from. But Lohilo makes a little more than just your typical protein snacks. It recently introduced protein powders. It's given it more of a that sports supplement nutrition approach. It has many different beverages, including collagen, caffeine, aminos. They've got a wide selection and an even larger selection of flavors. And again, they have a strong and even stronger selection of frozen functional foods, including ice creams, ice cream on a stick. Those frozen treats are well worth trying or attempting to get your hands on. Obviously, bars and snacks you can ship internationally. Frozen things, however, are next to impossible. That's why you kind of have to go to the continent to give those famous European functional foods a try. But yeah, so this past week, Lohilo had not one, not two, but 3 updates from its lineup. The first one we're going to talk about is Damn Good, which is not a description of the release. That is the name of a flavor. It's a name of a flavor the brand originally put together for its high-protein ice cream, which is what I was saying, is a must-try for fans of frozen functional foods, with Damn Good being a combination of vanilla and crunchy caramel. Now, that's the combination in the ice cream. Lohilo has now taken that Damn Good flavor and added it to the menu of its recently released protein powders, both of the protein powders, which is Lohilo Protein Powder, very straightforwardly named product, and Lohilo Shape, which is intended to be a more kind of light meal replacement type shake, not like supremely high 30-30 or 40 grams and whatnot. It's more of just like a slightly higher nutrition, high protein shake. We have details of it on the website. But yes, the Damn Good has been added to both of those protein products. But again, Lohilo was action-packed last week, and that wasn't the only news we had. We also had news of a fresh new flavor for its high-protein ice cream, which once again is a must-try if you've yet to get your hands on it. And they put a new flavor together called Texas Pecan, which is very much it's got pecans in it, of course. It's a ice cream with, it's a creamy vanilla ice cream. And then throughout that vanilla ice cream is caramelized pecans and swirls of salted caramel. Now, I've tried the caramel in some of Lohilo's other ice creams and snacks, and it's, damn sweet, damn salty. Pretty much, you could make the snack with just the salty caramel in there. But they've added the caramelized pecans in the vanilla ice cream. Making the flavor called Texas Pecan. The last little bit of news that we had from Lohilo last week takes us away from the protein and ice cream area into the beverage realm. And while Lohilo does have a lot of products, like I said, in the frozen functional section, it has a lot of beverages, and I mean a lot. They have quite a big selection, and they're not all the same, and they have a lot of flavors, but there are little tweaks between each of the beverages. Like some have high energy, some have amino, some have collagen. This past week they dropped a new product called Glow 2022, and it is it's essentially a follow-up of a product the brand dropped earlier this year with Sunkissed, which is a cactus lime energy drink that also had beta carotene in it to support skin appearance, or how Lohilo put it was beta carotene to help with your tan. That was obviously an appropriate product to drop when it was in summer, which was when it came out. And that product was also put together in partnership with the influencer and YouTuber, I'm going to murder this name, but I'm going to say it anyway, Antonia Mendia. I don't know if that's correct. It's obviously a Swedish influencer, but I did my best. But yeah, they teamed up with her for that sun-kissed beverage, and now they've come out with another one that's also put together in partnership with her. And it's called, Glow 2022. And it doesn't have that beta carotene, which makes sense because, they're not in summer anymore. It still has caffeine, though, with 105 milligrams. They've also put 5 grams of collagen in this one. So I guess that's kind of the keeping that beauty, skin supporting, healthy theme. Rather than beta carotene, you get collagen. And it's got no sugar and clean, which is pretty much the same with Lohilo's other functional beverages. And it's well worth checking out if you haven't seen the brand before. Their website, I don't recall the website having everything on there, but it gives you a good scope of what they have available. But to try them all, you really got to shoot some of their bigger countries that you can find Lohilo in, like, of course, Sweden. But yeah, so Lohilo was incredibly busy, and I think, again, to what I was saying, it's a good example of just how busy some of these brands are to pump out 3 new products, I guess 4 if you count the Lohilo's Damn Good flavor being added to 2 different products. That's a pretty busy week, and yeah, a lot of other brands were like that, but we now shoot back to the beverage industry for the next top story we have to share, and this one comes from MusclePharm, and this is one that's been a long time coming. So if you remember earlier this year, MusclePharm dropped a preview of 3 energy drinks. They were Combat Energy, Wreckage Energy, and Shred Energy. And the only confusing thing about that was they didn't really reveal too much about any of the drinks, just pictures of the products. We didn't get anything else. That announcement, again, you really have to be a solid follower and have a good memory, but that announcement came back in May. And we knew that they were coming out in summer at some point, but obviously getting an announcement back then, it's a long time and it's easily to forget they're coming. But last week, the MusclePharm energy drink finally made its debut. And for those that have an even greater memory, this isn't the first time Muscle Farm has been in the energy drink game. Long before it was popular, Muscle Farm came out with Energy Sport and Energy Sport Zero. This was back in 2015. And I remember trying this. I believe it was the Arnold I had. They were giving them out. I got my hands on it. Might have been the Olympia. I don't know. It was somewhere in 2015. It was a different time. I don't know if the caliber of energy drinks was, in terms of flavor and average tastiness, wasn't as high as it is now. But I very much remember the beta alanine being in the Energy Sport energy drinks, as it came on pretty strong. But that was obviously what they had back then. I believe that one also had B vitamins, 120 milligrams of caffeine, if I remember specifically. But the return to the energy drink market is very different from Muscle Farm this time. So as I said, the brand did preview Combat Energy, Wreckage Energy, and Shred Energy. Last week, we got the launch of Combat Energy. So I don't know what the story is with the other ones, just that Combat Energy, which was one of the first ones previewed, is now available. The Muscle Farm teamed up with the online retailer Muscle and Strength for the exclusive launch, and they had a pretty solid deal. If you wanted to get your hands on it, I'm not sure if the deal is still live, but they had cases for $29.99, I think. Sorry, they were $29.99 discounted down to $24, which is pretty solid. $24 for 12 is $2 a case. But if you want, they also sold cans individually, which I think I've always found that to be really the way to go. I've never been a fan of investing in an entire case of something I may not like, even if I'm just getting it for a review for Stacked. I wouldn't want 12 cans, or I wouldn't need 12 cans. But yeah, Muscle and Strength launched it in single cans, and now they were $2.99 each, which obviously isn't as good as the cases. But much like the cases, Muscle and Strength had a deal on the single cans as well, where you could get two for the price of one. So instead of getting one for $2.99, you got two, which worked out to be $1.50 a piece, and that is a deal. We jumped on it. We have it on its way to us, and like I said, after trying the energy drink from Muscle Farm way back in 2015, I'm definitely going to be getting my hands on this and giving it a run, and letting everyone know what it's like. Just see how it's changed, how it's evolved. But as for what's in the product, Muscle Farm has pretty much, I wouldn't say gone the trend, but they've gone with the common 300 milligrams of caffeine per can in the Combat Energy drink, which, as I said, very different from the 120 we got in Muscle Farm Sport Zero over half a decade ago. You got 300 milligrams of caffeine. There is no sugar, carbs, or calories, so completely clean, guilt-free. The other main ingredient in Muscle Farm's Combat Energy drink is BCAAs, and they have put a dose of this at 600 milligrams, which is, it's not close to what you get in your typical BCAA supplement, where it's somewhere in the realm of 5 grams. Almost most products have 5 grams. Sometimes you'll get slightly less at 3. But I don't recall ever seeing a supplement that had 600 milligrams, or at least had that or promoted it. But that's what you get in the energy drink. But to be fair, you're not buying this thing for the aminos. You're likely buying it for that 300 milligrams of caffeine for energy on the go. That's pretty much when we get energy drinks, that's kind of what we do it for. Not for a workout, not for anything like that. Just to give some extra energy for whatever I need it for. But you can go grab that now from Muscle and Strength. I don't know if the deals are still running, but you can get it in all 3 flavors. There is black cherry, green apple, and grapefruit lime. So pretty cool to finally see that come about. It was, like I said, it was a long time coming. When they made the announcement earlier this year, it was pretty cool to see the company get back into the game. I know Muscle Farm's been around for a while, so it's become one of those, I guess, legacy realm companies. But pretty cool to see it leave that category years ago and then come back into it. The next story we have is actually going to keep us in the energy drink market, And this is news from one of Stack's favorite energy drink companies, and that is 3D Energy. We've been huge fans of 3D Energy since it was Up Energy way back in the beginning, and then it changed to 3D Energy. Like, these guys have their energy drinks just kill it on flavor, from the white to the Mountain Dew light green, the gold one as well as Dynamite. I wasn't too big of a fan of the cotton candy, but I was a huge fan of the orange, literally the orange colored and orange tasting, and the grape flavored purple. They're just, very much just very consistent. And even if it's a flavor I wasn't a big fan of, or traditionally a big fan of, I enjoyed how 3D communicated it and delivered it in its energy drink. But yeah, again, the news this past week from 3D Energy is pretty damn exciting. Now, if you know 3D Energy at all, you'll know that it's from none other than Christian Guzman, huge influencer, YouTuber, ambassador of Ghost, of course. And he's been working on a project called Alphaland, which is essentially just a destination fitness powerhouse location. So basically Guzman is combining a awesome gym, from my understanding, like a hotel, stores, pretty much everything to do with fitness and training and nutrition, and he's put it into this experience called Alphaland, almost kind of like a theme park for gym addicts and gym rats and gym goers and fitness influencers and enthusiasts. And he's been working on it for the past year or two, I think, and he's finally coming to the closing stages, finally getting it done. It's very similar to Nutrend. If you're a fan of European brands, you might have heard about this. Nutrend is a European company that has a place called Nutrend World, and it's kind of the same thing, but a little more condensed. Alphaland seems to be very spread out, very big. Nutrend World is sort of like a hotel with a multi-story gym, if I remember the pictures correctly, and then it's got a nice restaurant and a store for nutrient supplements. So it's kind of like that, but sort of on a slightly larger scale with a few other things thrown in. The reason we're mentioning Alphaland specifically in 3D Energy is because 3D Energy, again owned by Christian Guzman, revealed a flavor that has got Alphaland branding on it and 3D Energy branding as well. So from my understanding, or at least we can speculate, 3D Energy is going to have an exclusive flavor, at least a special edition flavor, put together with Alphaland. All we know is pretty much that. The picture was previewed, I believe it was from Christian Guzman. You can get a closer look at it on our website. Just type in Alphaland or 3D Energy, and you'll get a look at it. It's yellow in color, from what we can see. Again, if you're familiar with 3D Energy, you'll know that the colors are sometimes related to the flavor. Pina Colada was obviously gold. They're loosely connected. So again, we only know that it's got to have that Alphaland branding, 3D branding. It's going to be sold maybe exclusively at Alphaland, I don't know. But yeah, we'll have more details when we have it. I suspect it won't go live until Alphaland itself opens. So when that happens, I think we'll get more information and the chance to actually try this one. The next story we got is Black Magic, who I'm not sure if we mentioned on the podcast, but it wasn't that long ago. They announced that they're entering the pump pre-workout market, which is a category I kind of expect them to get into at some point. Black Magic has been around for a while. It's got quite the reputation. It's very much known for those intense, kind of hardcore supplements, and it hasn't stuck to just pre-workout or stimulant categories, which is what you see a lot of hardcore companies do. Black Magic has really stepped into many different areas, but it finally came out with its first ever pump pre-workout last week in ectoplasm, and the formula is kind of what you'd expect. It's pretty well put together. You get 8 grams of citrulline malate, 2.5 betaine, 1.5 nitrosogene, 1.25 agmatine, Himalayan pink salts in there as well, 2 grams of glycopump glycerol, and 150 milligrams of S7, which is, as far as I know, the typical dose of S7 is 50. I have seen the odd supplement push it to 100, but as far as I know, this would be the first supplement to have 150. So if you're a fan of that ingredient, this is the biggest dose I've seen of it. But again, that's not the only driving force in it. That citrulline malate dose is pretty solid at 8 grams. I think the most interesting thing here is that not only is everything in this built for pumps, but the brand does suggest you can stack it with Berserk. And while initially you might think that means there's no crossover, there is indeed some crossover. So while it does say you can take Berserk with ectoplasm, you will be getting some combined dosages. So the Glycopump, Glycerol, if you have these two together, will be dosed at 4.5 grams, which is pretty solid. The betaine bumps up to 5 grams because Berserk also has 2.5. But the heftiest one is 15 grams of citrulline malate. Now, I've had 12 grams of pure citrulline and not at a problem, and 15 of citrulline malate might be a bit different. I've never had that much before. So just be aware if you've pushed the amounts of citrulline malate up and haven't had a good time. This is a big crossover, I guess. It's not often brands have a crossover when they recommend supplements being stacked. If a brand has a pre-workout and a stim-free pre-workout, typically you won't get any crossover. You usually get like a hefty citrulline malate dose in one, and then they just won't put it in the other. Same with glycerol and all. You just don't get that crossover. So this is a pretty interesting one. And yeah, if you've had bad experiences or if you had great experiences as well, give them a go. It sounds like a good time. But yeah, you can check that one out on the website. And yeah, ectoplasm is available now from the Blackmagic website at $44.95 for a tub of 20 servings. So it's the same price and amount of servings as Berserk. And there's no stack yet, but knowing Blackmagic and how they have stacks on their site, this just seems like a no-brainer. So look forward to probably seeing that one soon. The last story we have, and this was a huge one, is the long-awaited reveal of Ryze's absolutely loaded pre-workout. Now, we got a post on this a few months ago. I think it might have been August. They said that, Ryze said that it's coming out with a hugely dosed pre-workout. I think it might have been 46 grams. I think they said the serving was. 46 grams. That's what they said. And while that kind of thing it doesn't necessarily matter too much. Like you could do 46 grams and 45 could be carbs. I'm not saying that's the case, but it usually is a good indication of how good a supplement can be. It just means it's got good potential, I guess. It can go wrong, but most of the time brands don't fill it fill that giant space with nothing. So yeah, we got this past week, we got the full reveal of that loaded Ryze pre-workout, and while it's not the 46 grams they originally mentioned, it's 39.8 or 40 grams essentially. Jesus, they did not disappoint on this. Typically with supplements like this, that go for that bigger serving size or promote that bigger serving size, you get carbs. Sometimes BCAAs are in there as well, or even EAAs and creatine. I was very surprised that's not entirely the case on this one. They did use creatine monohydrate, but no aminos, or no BCAAs or no carbohydrates. So it's for lack of a better word, it is stacked. No pun intended. You can check out the form on the website, but just to give you a quick rundown, this thing has really taken that comprehensive approach. A nice well-rounded blend with at least 2 to 3 ingredients for each of the core effects, so energy, focus, pumps, and performance. You get, for pumps, you've got 11 grams of citrulline. That is a combined 11 grams, so 9 grams of pure citrulline, then 2 grams of citrulline nitrate. There's also 5 grams of betaine, which is just, it's not a dose I haven't seen before, but it's pretty hefty. Performance and strength, you got, again, the 5 grams of creatine monohydrate and the 6.4 grams of beta-alanine. So while you might have seen a lot of people talk about the double dose of beta-alanine to 6.4, very few products have done it. This is one of the few. I think I could probably count the products on one hand that have done it. But yeah, this is one of the ones that have pushed this to 6.4. You've also got, for focus, there's 1.6 of choline, or VitaCholine, branded choline by Tartrate. Theobromines in there as well. Thinkamine, branded Vincamine, which is also a focus ingredient the brand put in Loaded Pre, which is sort of it's at least its cheapest pre-workout, but a pre-workout that is intended more to help with focus. Pink Himalayan sea salts in there as well for hydration, 350 milligrams of caffeine, and then you've got 50 milligrams of Zumex extended release caffeine on top of that. And yeah, it doesn't have a laundry list. Like, I mean, it's a pretty full list. It's not like, I don't know, too many. It's enough to be considered quite a few ingredients, but it's those dosages. It's those dosages that are extremely impressive. Sort of, sometimes you get pre-workouts where they'll have that, maybe 10 grams of citrulline, 8 grams of citrulline, or 6.4 of beta-alanine, but that'll kind of be like the highlight. That'll be the star of the show. And then they'll have like a few ingredients surrounding it that aren't as over the top dosed. Still dosed well, but not as intensely as that. This is kind of that, that flagship dose just on every ingredient. Like, any of these ingredients are probably strong enough or impressive enough to throw on marketing or promotional material. Like I said, that 11 grams of citrulline is pretty damn solid. The 6.4 of beta-alanine, the 5 grams of betaine, it essentially has something for everything, for all the benefits, the energy, focus, pumps, and performance. Obviously, the big question is, how do these things come together? We've seen many pre-workouts where they look good on paper and then just somehow, for whatever reason, they lack in this area, lack in that. The balance is off. That you can feel the energy more than the pumps. You can feel the performance more than the focus. It's about that balance. It's about finding that, that synergism, if the word Doug Miller and his friends at Core Nutritionals use so much, because it is about getting that key balance. Because again, I've had pre-workouts where the energy is so high, it's difficult to get an intense pump. The pre-workouts that I guess I like and that Stacked is always ranked very highly are pre-workouts that just sort of go into the gym and the energy is good, the focus is good, the pumps are intense, the performance is very obvious, and you're lifting like beyond your normal, and it's just everything's working together. Nothing's too overwhelming, nothing's too underwhelming, nothing's like where you sort of have to think, did I feel this? Like, everything just works together and it's a solid experience. So those are the products we've always ranked very highly. And while we are just judging this thing on paper, RYSE's new pre-workout, which doesn't have an exact name, all that it's been referred to as now is the Noel Deyzel, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, Deyzel, or it's the premier athlete of RYSE. It's the Noel Deyzel signature pre-workout. That's kind of what it's been referred to. It's been put together in partnership with him. But yeah, it's a solid supplement. And on paper, it sounds like it's going to be a beast. As far as I know, it's not launching until late next month. So we still have to wait a few more weeks before we can get your hands on it. But I'm going to be buying this. I don't care if RYSE is going to send me one or not. We're buying it. Definitely want to get my hands on it. It's probably one of the most noisiest pre-workouts out there. I mean, this formula definitely sent, I wouldn't say shockwaves, but it definitely sent noise throughout the industry. People knew about it, people looked at it, people heard about it. And again, I'm a big fan of the well-rounded pre-workouts. Again, as I mentioned, ones that you can feel and have a great balance. And sometimes, I know the RYSE and Noel are promoting this pre-workout as a very pump-powering pre-workout. To be honest, for me, personally, I've always needed the pumps to stand out a little more because it doesn't take much effort for the energy to stand out. Everyone's stim tolerance is different, but sometimes it's just about raising the caffeine a little bit, adding another stim, and then your the energy's there. But the pumps are always very difficult to just make them pop, especially alongside stims. So the fact that RYSE has really put a good focus or a good amount of attention on the pumps in this with citrulline, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but Vasodrive is also in there. It's it's looking promising. So hopefully we'll get our hands on this and have it reviewed and make it in time for Christmas. And we'll have details on this when it becomes available. As I said, I don't think it's going to be launching until like late next month. Again, when we have more info, when we have details on where you can get it, how you can get it, even if you can sign up for a pre-order, we'll have that on the site. So as always, follow the site for the latest news and updates. This week is going to be another busy one. We're already like 20-30 stories behind trying to catch up and covering everything that's already been posted. Everything that's needing to be posted and coming this week as well. So once again, thank you for tuning in, thank you for listening, and look forward to having you back next week.